Hey, I'm Jeff the Junk Seller. In this presentation, this is part two of three about the burglarized storage units that I decided that I would share with everybody. Having things in storage and having to deal with potential theft is just a big part of this business, and how you handle being stolen from is will dictate what how much courage they have in stealing from you. Because I've seen them victimize people over and over and over again. If you got good stuff, you're going to have haters, and with those haters, they just think that they can take your stuff and call it their own. It's funny because you'll be accused when you outperform your neighbors. Sometimes you'll be accused of coming by your stuff by all kinds of nefarious means. They'll say that you cheated somebody out of it or that you stole it or whatever. They just that people that don't do well refuse to be outperformed. Most of the people in this business, I find that most of them are fantastic people. You could really rely on almost. I'm going to say 98% of them are good, but it's that 2%. You need to identify them and hold them accountable. But this is about a trunk that I bought. I know a guy down in he's down south. He's in Anahuac, Texas, is where he lives, or near Anahuac, and he buys storage units. He's been doing it for quite a few years. I think about 20 years now. But he bought a unit where they had a trunk, a big wooden trunk, and it was a soldier's trunk. It was thick boards, actual plank wood. I think probably sycamore. It was. I think the boards were 3/4 of an inch, and it had iron fittings and steel corners on the lid, and every edge that it had a was reinforced with steel trim. But I bought this trunk from him. He had gotten into a storage unit, and I liked it because it had painted on the front. It was W. H. James, Company A, First Regiment, National Guard, State of Minnesota, and had Minneapolis, Minnesota painted on the front of it. I'll show pictures of this. I still have photographs of it. Um, but this trunk, I was trying to get about. I started asking 450 for it, and I'd had it for a couple of months. I think that I even offered it for as little as $300 in certain circumstances. I think that the trunk was probably interwar. It was post Civil War and pre World War One. I think that it was either Spanish American or maybe even the Indian Wars. The Company A, First Regiment of the National Guard of the State of Minnesota had they had some kind of role in the Indian Wars. I quit doing research when I lost the trunk, but this is identified, and if anybody has it, I'll be able to reclaim this as my property if I find it anywhere. And it's kind of odd. I'm going to talk about the characters involved in stealing from me. Is the way that I know who it was is they had a unit 425. My unit was 423, and they vacated unit 425 the same day that 423 got burglarized. I was down in Anahuac, in fact, when it happened. I got a call from the woman that owns the facility that where I have my units, and so I hurried up and got back up here and noticed that I knew that they were locking the 425. I wasn't comfortable with it. They were known prowlers out at the market. They crawl around in the middle of the night, and steal stuff. They go out and scout what they want to steal in the daytime when it's light outside, and then they come back and steal it at night. And they've been known. They get caught all over the place. And when this happens, I'm talking to the owner of the facility, and she gives me a different name as being the owner of the unit. And the name that I'm given is somebody who was introduced to me by the prowler. And we were at a market down in Winnie, and he introduced me to him, said that if I had any really high end stuff that I couldn't sell, that they would buy it. They travel all over the country, and I think that they were talking about stolen property because these guys are getting drunk and high, and later there's telling stories, and one of the stories that came out was that the guy said something about, remember that time I was at that sale and I had nothing but Blinko glass and I couldn't sell it because that guy was there. And I felt like they were talking about the problems associated with selling stolen property and having the guy that you stole it from showed up. So I marked that in my mind, didn't care too much about it, but I'm watching this guy over a period of years or so. We figured out that he was a thief. And people would tell me stories, and because for a while I tried helping him out. I had friends that were trying to help him out too. So they ended up stealing from me, and the trunk that was stolen wound up going down to Warrenton. It is probably the largest antique market in the world. It stretches from Round Top, Texas to Warrenton, Texas. But in the wintertime, they were running an additional sale. They do it in generally it's spring and fall, but they've been known to attach these additional sales in the winter and in the summer. And they're not very good. It's not worth going and setting up or even really shopping there. But these guys were set up on a field that was called Dead People Stuff. I mean, that was the actual name of the venue. And somebody went and took photographs of his stuff, and those photographs made it back to me. And there was the trunk. And I went down there, tried to get the police involved. The police went and investigated, said that the trunk was no longer there. They really didn't even, they didn't care too much about doing anything about it. But anyway, that guy and we had a confrontation at sometime in the future, and he admitted that he had that trunk and that he sold it. And here's the pathetic thing about that is whoever bought that doesn't own it. If I ever find it, wherever I locate it, I can make a demand on that, and they need to go and sue him to get their money back. But it's important. I tell this part of the story because this same guy, it figures very, very central to the part 3 of 3 that I'll be telling about a piece of ivory that I had. But these guys were renting a unit in their name so that the prowler and his accomplices had a place to go and deposit the stuff in case they got caught up. The police can go and look at the records and try to find a unit that's possessed by these guys, and the stolen stuff won't be in the unit with their name on it because they've hidden it in a unit that was somebody else's name. So I got hip to all of this, and I've been tormenting these guys. I've been chasing them around. The guys that go all over the country, I'm thinking about hitting the road again, and I think that I'll be out there aggressive. I'll be their shadow for much of the time. But this trunk is it's really interesting. It came out of a unit, and I believe that this guy generally he buys from storagetreasures.com. So I'm going to put that up here. I'm just going to claim that that's where it came from because I know that probably 95% of the stuff that he buys comes from storagetreasures.com. And how this trunk from Minneapolis got down to southern Texas, I really don't know. But that's just how it happens a lot of times. But this is absolutely fantastic trunk, and I hope that you enjoy viewing this. And if you do, give me a like. See some of my other content, and if you appreciate that stuff, please subscribe. But thank you for viewing.